One wish, Willow. You only get one wish. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the entire world. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you!
Obsession. Yeah, I know. I'm getting to this one really late, like 5 weeks late, but hey, it's still in theaters, and I need to talk about this film. Truth be told, I saw this several weeks ago, but I've been way too busy, so I haven't really been able to put together a review until now. And while all of that's been going on, this film has just gotten bigger and bigger and getting more and more money and viewers every week since its release, which is nearly unheard of in the grand scheme of Hollywood movies, especially 5 weeks in. This is kind of ridiculous. And I want to talk about why that might be happening, as well as my general review of the film. First things first, Obsession is really good. I don't personally think that it is as good as most audiences are claiming, and I feel like some audiences are missing the overall point and the joke of the film. Media comprehension is not very strong with this one, but overall, Obsession is an incredibly solid film that I feel succeeds in what it was setting out to do and cements this new director, Curry Barker, as an upcoming force in the Hollywood upheaval, as I'm calling it. But hey, what do I mean by that? What is this upheaval? The Hollywood upheaval, as I'm calling it, is relatively new, but a long time coming. This is mostly how Hollywood is restructuring around some new blood. Obsession is just a little part of that. The Backrooms as well, and Iron Lung, and Talk to Me, and Bring Her Back, and all of these movies by very young, up-and-coming directors and writers who usually get their start on YouTube. Most of them have no formal experience, but they're not only succeeding at what they do, but they're excelling. Obsession here is just cementing this more and more as a real trend rather than a fluke. Like take Backrooms, for example. That has broken multiple records as well. I mean, so has Obsession. Iron Lung broke some too, and was a triumph in true independent filmmaking. Hell, even the Amazing Digital Circus's last episode that had a theatrical run broke records. And no, I'm not going to review it. I did see it. I don't really want to review it. Just see it when it drops on YouTube soon. Maybe I'll review it then. But these interesting films and low-budget experiences and independent creations are proving that these new young writers and directors are here to stay and flip Hollywood on its head. It is true that I can't really call films like Backrooms or Obsession as fully independent because they are backed by some major production companies like Blumhouse and Neon, but they are still triumphs in new blood. I could say that it is a little disappointing that most of these films are pure horror. Horror is often seen as an easy entry into film because those kind of films can be done for smaller budgets with very minimal risk. Horror is just an easy win in general, but the fact that these films are not only spooky and cementing their place in history, but also that they are ridiculously smart helps to cement them even further. And Obsession is no different. This is a very smartly written movie. On the surface, Obsession seems like a standard, tropey horror comedy, but the story here is made so well that it flips that conventional story on its head, becoming not only funny in an absurdist way, which is Curry Barker's typical comedy, but also by including some deep, intriguing, and uncomfortable metaphors and symbolism for relationships and romantic violence and control. It really gets itself going. Sometimes it's really overt, but mostly it is pretty subtle. And I think the fact that some audiences are leaving the theater with the wrong impression of who the antagonist really is, but still having thoroughly enjoyed the film, speaks to how well this movie was made and put together. It does not speak well for general audiences' media comprehension, but hey, nobody liked Joker 2. And Joker 2 is a fantastic journey into metaphors surrounding ego and psychological aspects, but that's a whole other video. Watch my review for that. It's better than you think. Obsession goes a similar route. So maybe it makes sense that some people are overlooking the message in there, either willfully or not, because it is very uncomfortable. But as usual, I am getting way ahead of myself. What is Obsession even about? Obsession follows a young loser named Bear who is struggling to ask his coworker Nikki out. When he makes a wish on a strange gimmick item called a one-wish willow, he wishes Nikki to be in love with him, only to have the wish come true and a nightmare to come about as his wish becomes way more real than he could have ever thought possible. So, right away, with that base story, what do you think the plot is? Provided that you haven't actually seen the movie yet. Follow me with this example. Like, what is the first thing to pop into your head when you hear that hook? For me, I'd imagine that it would be something like a monkey's paw situation, that this girl becomes obsessed to a ridiculous and dangerous degree, and this guy, Bear, has to figure out how to stop that wish, and that is kind of what happens, but the idea of the film is to turn that idea on its head. The movie makes it a point to label Bear as the antagonist of the film. Nikki is almost always portrayed as a victim, even when she's reciting manic, explicit poetry about Bear, torturing him at night, or causing multiple scenes in public. It is so over the top and done in a very comedic fashion, but just under the surface and portrayed through some excellent switch-ups in acting. You can always tell the real Nikki is there, not really understanding what's happening and desperate to get back out and back in self-control. This movie is not about a boy who wishes for his crush. The movie is about a boy who wishes to erase a woman's independence and sense of self, to silence and replace her with an idealized version that he wants or thinks he wants. Her thoughts aren't in the picture. Her wants are not there, and I think that is very important to understand. This is not a spoiler, it is a feature. This is a horror comedy, but it is also a rape and humiliation film. I'm not saying that lightly, it really is. It's very interesting, artsy, and it is admittedly a very funny film, but you cannot ignore that subtext. You miss a huge chunk of the movie if you do. Bear, the protagonist, is not a good person, and that's part of the joke. He isn't an innocent kid waiting for a crush, and he isn't a knight in shining armor trying to help the princess. He is both a protagonist and an antagonist, and the film is about exploring this hell of his own making and how it drags down everyone around him, including his victim and himself, and him just wallowing in it and not really trying all that hard to fix it. Yes, it is done in a silly, overly absurd way, but that is the gist of the film. And Curry Barker's sense of humor. Overall, I think this is an extremely well-written film. It's very quotable too. This was written and directed by YouTuber Curry Barker. He is mostly known for doing sketch comedy on his channel, but has slowly been expanding into acting. He released a short film, I say short, but it's like 15 minutes long or so, on his channel for free called Milk and Cereal. It's a pretty good idea for how Obsession sounds like, so I recommend checking that one out if you are curious or you liked Obsession. I do feel like his brand of comedy maybe feels a little too similar to, I don't know, I Think You Should Leave and Tim Robinson's particular brand of comedy, but Barker still has a unique flair about him. They're just a little similar. I do also want to talk about our leads very briefly, which another very low casted movie, which is fine for me. Bear is played by Michael Johnston, and Johnston does a really good job portraying this really strange loser. Bear is such an odd character. He is so passive and aloof, but also very selfish and desperate to get his own way. He just doesn't want to put in the work. I think that's what makes him pretty dangerous too. His violence is quiet, and he can play at being freaked out and wanting an escape, but when push comes to shove, he's getting what he wants. and he's going to tell everyone else that it isn't his fault or it's a mistake. He's just going to sidestep the blame, and even when it's thrust into his lap, he's just going to be like, okay, well, I can make this work, and just either ignore it or just brute force a fix, even though it doesn't work. He's just a very strange, sad man that very much enjoys playing the victim, but is somehow really good at getting people on his side. Maybe it's because he's kind of a dweeb. He's kind of a loser. Maybe that's why people are getting on his side easily enough. They feel pity, which is interesting commentary all in of itself. The true standout here, though, is the freakily obsessed girl herself, Nikki, played by Indy Navarrete. There have been multiple calls for her to win an Oscar, which, I mean, this is a horror film, so good luck. Amy Madigan won for Weapons, which is very well deserved, but to be fair, that might have been a fluke. Ask Toni Collette. Hollywood hates giving awards to horror film actors and actresses for whatever reason, but hey, we're kind of in a horror renaissance, so that might change, who knows? I can definitely understand why Navarrete would be considered for an award. She is essentially playing a dual role here as a possessed and non-possessed Nikki, each struggling to take control and fighting for self-expression, which is very interesting to see play out at the same time, which is very difficult to do, but she is nailing it. Also, good God, does this girl have some amazing facial expressions. They are all way over the top and very funny, but also really disturbing in all of the best ways. She smacks herself in the face with a bottle until she's bleeding, and then she has this look like, oh, did I do that? It's so weird. Navarrete does some incredible work here, and her performance alone really makes this film worth seeing. Terrific job, no notes. However, though, I do have notes for the film in general. Again, I didn't say it was great. I said it wasn't as great as everyone keeps saying. I don't think Obsession is a perfect movie, and I don't think it's nearly as good as people keep saying. To be fair, I was under the impression that the film was going to be a lot gorier than it ended up being, which was mostly due to pre-release marketing talking about how they cut out various head smashes or other violent scenes. There really isn't a lot of gory scenes in general. There's very, very little. But I think a little more gore and visceral moments would have been pretty fun. There were also a couple of moments that came off as just a little too absurd and a little to the top. They really couldn't be taken seriously. I don't think they were supposed to be taken seriously, but they did hold the movie back just a little bit for me. And it was at the very end too, where I'm like, okay, you're kind of jumping the gun here. Just reel it in. You're going too far. When I was walking out of the film, I was feeling like it was a little underwhelming, just because I was expecting a very different kind of vibe going in. But when I left, I understood the joke and the messaging behind the film. I was just expecting it to be a little bit funnier and have more gore. But after sitting and digesting my thoughts on the movie and thinking about it for a little bit, I have a much better appreciation for this film. I think it is incredibly smart, wonderfully shot, and exceedingly well acted. So my thoughts about it really warmed up. Plus, I found myself quoting it pretty often, which, I mean, it has a lot of good quotes. Since its release, Obsession has quickly become the movie of the summer. Backrooms might overtake it, but Obsession has shown a very weird perseverance. It stuck around and increased in its returns week after week, and this fifth week is no exception. And that is incredibly strange, especially for a horror film. Now it's one of the top 10 highest grossing horror films of all time in the US, and that's wild. And all of that is helping to fuel the fires of the Hollywood upheaval. These new directors who are young, talented, and raring to go are only going to keep appearing. And if any of them are watching this review, hey, I have a script ready to go as well. Hit me up. Plus, I would love to interview you guys. Please, I'm a YouTuber too. Help me out. We'll help each other. But that being said though, Obsession is a great symptom of the upheaval. It is an interesting, fun movie that can get a little too absurd and a little too in its own head at times, but the metaphor and the strength of its story are so good that the film triumphs regardless of that issue. It is a very uncomfortable subject matter, but it is done in such an intelligent and entertaining way that it gets across much better than I would have thought otherwise. I think people just need to work on media comprehension. There's too many people going out here and leaving the theater thinking that Bear was the good guy, and I'm like, no, did we watch the same movie? That being said though, go see Obsession. It's really good. It's clearly going to be in theaters for a very long time, and Barker already has other projects in the works, so I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him soon. So ultimately, Obsession gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Oh my god. I think I'm going to switch up how I do some of these reviews. I think the actual style of how I write it up and the length will probably stay the same, but I have an idea for how to change the visuals up a little bit. So maybe that might make it a bit easier for me to get these out, because my job is very much getting in the way of that, which is fine. It's a good problem to have, but I want to get more of these out without it taking up an exorbitant amount of my time on top of everything else. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll experiment with it a little bit going forward. Maybe it'll be a little different. Who knows? In the meantime, though, there are a lot of fun movies in theaters right now, and we're only getting more coming soon. I mean, I went and saw The Furious recently. I don't think I'm going to review it, but if you like martial arts films, you'll definitely like that film. It's just pure classic martial arts fun. The story is trash, but it is a lot of fun to watch in theaters. So I highly suggest that if you're a fan of martial arts movies and fighting and classic Chinese martial arts movies, even though Jackie Chan is not a part of this film. There are other ones out that I might see, I might not, I don't know. I did see Scary Movie, so I'll probably review that. I might do that in a different format just to make it a bit easier. But hey, I don't know. What did you guys think of Obsession? Are there any other things that I missed? Or maybe you have a different idea of what the story actually was. Let me know in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost soul, and I'm just a